As one natural disaster continues to claim lives and homes in California, the situation in Puerto Rico dire tonight as the recovery is now going in reverse. Welcome to Nightside. I'm Katie McCall.
And I'm Carolina Leid. You heard correctly. Puerto Rico is losing the ground it gained, trying to restore power back to the island.
Yeah, that's right. This morning, 13% of the island had power tonight. It's down to just 9%. The governor's office says one of San Juan's power stations went down, a huge blow to that island's progress more than 3 weeks after Hurricane Maria hit. This happened just as House Speaker Paul Ryan was arriving to take a look at what was happening there.
What we've seen here today confirms that this is first and foremost a humanitarian disaster. We want to make sure that when we rebuild power lines, that they can withstand, 150-mile-per-hour winds like they received before.
36% of the island does not have access to clean drinking water, and 4 deaths from a bacteria spread by contaminated water have raised fears about a health crisis there. Fuel remains one of the biggest issues for Puerto Rico. The government says it needs 200,000 gallons of diesel per week to pump clean water. FEMA is providing only 120,000. The newly appointed FEMA coordinator for the island is defending his agency's response.
Do I wish it was done faster? Am I applying the resources to get it done faster? You better believe I am, but it's going to still take time.
FEMA has 1,500 personnel on the ground and more are on the way. The coordinator says they are going to stay as long on the island as it takes.
Progress is slowly being made in the battle against wildfires in Northern California, but the numbers are still rising. 32 people are now dead and 5,700 homes and businesses have been destroyed. We're also getting a look at some dramatic video of a neighborhood being evacuated. This is police body cam footage of an officer going door to door to make sure people have evacuated. It's a little hard to make out, but the officers you heard there is shouting and banging on doors. Then he comes across someone trying to get a disabled woman out of the area, and the two of them load the woman in the back of his police SUV. The sheriff there said he released this video to show people just how dangerous the wildfires are. There is some good news coming today. CAL FIRE says containment numbers are also growing.
3 smaller fires have been contained 100%, including a fire in Sonoma County along Highway 37. We've increased containment on most of our major fires by some degree.
Several thousand firefighters have been added to the fire lines over the last 24 hours, and hundreds of police officers are trying to find more than 200 people that are still unaccounted for.
President Trump says Iran is not living up to the spirit of the deal to prevent that country from developing nuclear weapons. So the president made the decision to decertify the Iran nuclear deal. The Iranian president responded saying Trump's decision to scuttle the agreement could leave the U.S., quote, more isolated than ever. President Trump accused the Iranian regime of, quote, multiple violations of the deal, but he did not completely withdraw the U.S. from that agreement. Instead, he's leaving it up to Congress to revise the terms. If lawmakers can't do it, the president says he will terminate the deal. Iran's president responded within an hour of President Trump's remarks, saying Iran will stick to the nuclear deal, but the country could change its mind.
More than a dozen states are suing President Trump over his decision to roll back parts of Obamacare with an executive order.
We're taking a little different route than we had hoped because getting Congress, they forgot what their pledges were.
The president's plan will give employers permission to look for cheaper health insurance plans across state lines. The White House is also eliminating $7 billion in subsidies to insurers. Those funds help keep premiums low for individuals enrolled in Obamacare. The Congressional Budget Office says getting rid of those subsidies could cause premiums to go up for everyone as much as 20% next year and add, get this, $200 billion to the deficit over the next decade. The states suing the president are asking for injunctions to keep those subsidy payments coming.
This story is spreading fast on social media. There's a 2-year-old boy in Atlanta who needs a kidney transplant, but the life-saving surgery is on hold. His mom says it's because of red tape between the hospital and police, keeping his own father a perfect match from donating. Our news partners in Atlanta spoke to that family.
AJ is like any other 2-year-old.
Mama!
chatty and playful. And now his family is on a mission to save his life. AJ was born without both kidneys, and they recently found out his dad, Anthony Dickerson, is a perfect match.
That's all I ever wanted was a son. And I finally got him, and he in this situation.
Anthony was scheduled to donate his left kidney to AJ, their miracle baby, and the mom, Carmilla Burgess, was excited.
We was 2 steps closer to giving him a kidney, and then we got shut down, basically.
Things started to go downhill when Dickerson was arrested for violating his probation last month, charged with possession of a firearm. Here's a letter he says Emory sent to the Gwinnett County Jail. It states, quote, Mr. Dickerson is currently in custody for a parole violation. If Mr. Dickerson could be escorted to Emory for blood work and a preoperative appointment tomorrow, September 29, we will be able to continue with the scheduled surgery. End quote. Dickerson said the tone changed once he was released from jail. Quote, the living donor transplant team at Emory has asked Mr. Dickerson for evidence of compliance from his parole officer for the next 3 months. We will re-evaluate Mr. Dickerson in January 2018 after receipt of his completed documentation. End quote. The family says a probation violation shouldn't stop the process, especially since Dickerson is healthy and drug-free.
It's about my son. He's been through a lot, and it's like we've been waiting on this. And Dad making a mistake shouldn't affect what he wants to do with our son.
We reached out to the hospital, and Emory Healthcare says they can't answer specific questions because of patient confidentiality. We asked a general question about how someone being arrested impacts the possibility of them donating a kidney, and they would not answer. Dickerson doesn't want his arrest record to impact his son's chance of living a healthy and normal life.
What do he got to do with the mistakes I made? Nothing.
He's only 2. He don't deserve this.
So hard.
Tough story. Well, the family says their only option now is to get on the kidney transplant wait list, but that could take a really long time.
Yeah, certainly longer than waiting until January if in fact this donation is able to be made at that time. We talked about this on Facebook Live, Alex, and people were overwhelmingly on the side of this family, saying the hospital absolutely needs to make an exception. He's a 2-year-old who has no kidneys. He's had a stroke. The kid is not in good shape. And so there's a lot of urgency. People were stepping up saying...
They were making suggestions,
Yeah,
right?
They were offering to make phone calls on this kid's behalf to try to get him to another facility. We had RNs, hospital administrators making comments. A lot of people feel that there's something that the hospital just can't tell us because of HIPAA.
Well, we're going to stay on top of what happens with AJ, and we'll keep you updated.
By now, you've probably seen this video scrolling through social media. A little girl exploding with joy when she finds out she and her younger siblings are getting adopted. But before her new parents made it official, they were her foster parents. There are many foster parents right here in the Bay Area that, you know, these kids need a safe place and a family to call their own. Tonight in Tampa, hundreds of foster parents got a huge thank you for selflessly taking children and young adults into their homes. We spoke with one couple that has, get this, a total of 16 kids between the ages of 2 and 25 living in their home.
Basically, in our home, it's being a parent. Anything we would do for our bio children, we do for our foster kids. So just giving the kids love.
We thought we would help them, but actually they have helped us in just ways that we've never thought that it could be happening. I mean, we just feel blessed that they're there.
These forever families are just amazing. Tonight's thank you banquet was put on by Eckerd Kids. There are currently 471 foster parents just in Hillsborough County alone. If you are interested in fostering kids in Pinellas, Pasco, or Hillsborough counties, we've got a link with the information on our website at WTSP.com.
Here's some stories you need to know tonight. Ford says it's inspecting current model Explorers from 2011 through 2017 for exhaust problems.
Yeah, that's right. The group of SUVs also includes police patrol cars. Owners have expressed concerns about carbon monoxide possibly seeping into the passenger cabin. The inspections are being offered for free. Alex?
And dozens of people lined up outside the Sarasota Square Mall today for food assistance after Hurricane Irma. This line was this long even before dawn. Because of power outages, thousands of you lost food during the storm, so DCF is giving temporary food benefits as part of the Food for Florida program. If you need assistance, we have a link at WTSP.com.
So over the past few days, we've been talking about the Boy Scouts debate, about allowing girls to join. Tonight, yeah, we have the toy debate. Should toys be gender neutral? Is it difficult these days when buying toys for your kids or grandkids? Look, we want to hear from you on this one. Would you buy that toy truck as a gift? Would you do it? And for who? Weigh in at WTSP.com/vote now or on the 10 News app while you're voting. So here's what we got. 10 News reporter Garen Flowers, he talked to a group of parents about how toys need to fit their kids and not their gender. So it's on the screen.
It seems as long as toys have been around, gender has played a role. Two researchers found many toys advertised to boys were related to fighting and aggression. For girls, they were related to appearance. I spoke to 5 parents, all who don't mind what toy their children play with. Stores like Target are moving towards more gender-neutral items for kids.
Over the past year, guests have raised important questions about a handful of signs in our stores that offer product suggestions based on gender. Do you think society kind of points boys and girls in that direction, like, oh, you have to get a G.I. Joe or you have to get a Barbie?
It happens from the start. You know, if you have a gender reveal party and you're cutting that cake, it's either pink for a girl or blue for a boy.
And even though we were raised with these societal norms and generations before us and before them, we're kind of trying to break the mold, and we do want to see our children grow up to be unique.
Yeah, I think as a whole, we spend a lot of time as parents, maybe not intentionally, but taking away from our children's just sense of imagination.
Is there pressure from your friends to have your daughter enjoy things that are typically associated with women, and your boys play with things that are associated with men?
For us, we had a lot of hand-me-down clothings. My wife and I were the last couple in our circle of friends to have kids, and so we had a lot of hand-me-downs. And they're like, "Well, this was for our son." And doesn't matter. It fits her now, so that's good, you know. But I do have to admit, when my friend had his son 10 years ago, I was that person that, you know, he had a son. It's like, okay, so we went out there and bought him like little Tampa Bay Rays and Tampa Bay Lightning shirts and everything.
And I think a lot of it stems from this fear that if we let our children fall out of those antiquated stereotypes, that somehow we're trying to get rid of gender, or we're trying to get rid of the differences.
There may be a subconscious fear within us where we do equate that perhaps to sexuality, and that, you know, if we allow our son to play with a Barbie doll, does that mean that he'll grow up to be gay or something like that?
You know, if I take my son to go with me when I get my nails done, you know, I have half the moms saying, "Oh, that's so great, I love that you're doing that." And then I have someone else asking me, "Does your husband know you're here?" And no joke, I mean, and it was like, wow.
So I brought a prop. This is Billy. He's one of 2 dolls at my very small startup company that I created with my sister here in Tampa make. They're dolls for boys, or I like to say actually they're just dolls for all kids, but they're boys.
You know, it may not be necessarily that the doll's a female. I mean, he may really enjoy fashion, okay? Louis Vuitton is a male, correct? He's a male, correct? Okay. So I don't think anyone is laughing at Louis Vuitton right now.
If you want to be, if you're a female and you want to be G.I. Joe, you should be able to be G.I. Joe. If you're a male and, you know, you want to be a ballerina, you should be a ballerina.
A lot of people were happy, but some took aim at Target, angry when the company announced it was cutting down on its gender-based signage in 2015. That hasn't stopped the company from adding a gender-neutral clothing line to its collection back during the summer. In the newsroom, I'm Garen Flowers, 10 News.
Ashley, I wonder if I'm allowed to vote on this. This is definitely a debate in my house as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I guess at a certain point, it's like kids will pick up and play with whatever they want. Like, how many times did, you know, your brother like start playing with your stuff and you're still like, stop it, that's mine.
Or you're fighting over the G.I. Joes or whatever it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
So quite a few festivals this weekend. My kids are looking forward to one in St. Pete Beach. What are we looking for this weekend?
Chances for showers, but it won't be a total washout by any stretch. So there may be some occasions where you do have to temporarily move some stuff inside, but by and and large, you're going to be okay to get out there. We're actually going to limit our thunderstorm potential coming up over the next couple of days. And right now, our radar's nice and quiet. I know it looks like there's this big splotch of green right here. That's not rain. The only rain we're tracking is moving through parts of Hernando County right now. It's very light. It's going to be moving in and out of here very quickly. Tomorrow morning, you'll be waking up to a similar setup. A couple of splotchy little showers is going to be about it, and we'll see temperatures that fall back into the mid 70s, maybe even some low 70s up into the Nature Coast, but still relatively warm because we do still have that humidity, and it's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future. It's not until later into the week that we're going to see some dips there. So here's early tomorrow morning. Again, a couple of spotty showers do manage to hang on here, and that's what we're going to see kind of on again, off again throughout the whole day. This is your lunch hour. This is noon. Notice we don't have a widespread coverage here. We don't have intense storms popping up here. If we saw anything a little bit on the stronger side, that would be really into the late afternoon, early evening. But just watch how quickly any of these individual showers are going to be moving through. And again, not strengthening. So maybe you have to move something inside for 20, 30 minutes, but don't cancel outdoor plans that you have this weekend because Sunday is going to be looking similar to that as well. Overnight, mid 70s, some stray showers. Overall, not a big deal, and heading out the door tomorrow morning, it's a better time to get the yard work done, get those early morning workouts in, because as we head toward the afternoon, we're looking at this. Temperatures once again near 90 degrees. This is several degrees above our average high temperature of 85, and with the humidity, these numbers are actually going to feel closer to about 95 to 98 at their peak during the afternoon. So prepare for a little heat. Make sure everyone is hydrating because the expectation of cooler temperatures for October, it's really not coming to fruition just yet. November, December do look significantly cooler, but this is kind of our transitional period of the year where those temperatures do start to come down, but our cooler air is still bottled up well to our north. It's not likely until we get into about Tuesday, Wednesday that will allow a little bit of that to kind of filter its way back in, and then we'll start to see a little bit of a cool down. But don't get too excited. This isn't the big blast that comes and brings the 70s. However, I think we do manage to get those numbers back down closer to average with those highs in the low to mid 80s, and overnight temperatures come down a hair as well, back into the low 70s.
Now, from your Suncoast Hyundai dealers, this is 10 Sports.
You have to love the injury report via Twitter. The Bucks' Quan Alexander posting, "Hey, me great, y'all. Thanks for checking in on me. We'll be back Sunday." That tweet was on September 17th. Quan didn't make it back for that Sunday, nor any Sunday since. Alexander has been ruled out of this Sunday's game in Arizona with that nagging hamstring. Bucks are 1-6 when Quan does not play. Safety Keith Tandy will also sit this one out, and two other key pieces of the defense, Levante David, TJ Ward, are questionable. Can we get a Band-Aid here? Bucks need to play with whomever is available.
Get the best 46 guys we can to help us go do our jobs in Arizona. So, you know, when your injuries mount up, you only have so many options, and you know, depending on the length of those injuries, that's the tricky part.
Bucks and Cards Sunday at 4. Failing to qualify for the World Cup in 3 decades. Bruce Arena said, quote, "We didn't get the job done." Now Arena has lost his job after the most embarrassing moment in U.S. soccer history. Arena resigned as head coach 2 days after the USA's inexplicable loss to Trinidad and Tobago, sealing their World Cup fate, missing out on Russia 2018. Tav Ramos, that's the name. Look out for frontrunner headlines the candidates to replace Arena. Ramos, currently the U20 national team coach. Tonight at North Carolina's annual Late Night with Roy Williams, Tar Heel Nation raised its 6th national championship banner at the Dean Dome. The university feared a couple of these championship banners would be coming down for alleged NCAA violations. Today we got the news they'll remain in the rafters. The NCAA announcing UNC will not be penalized for academic misconduct following a 3.5-year investigation. The university was accused of providing athletes with improper benefits stemming from a deficient course dating back to 1997, which did not require class attendance, little work, and changing of grades. Here's the kicker. The reason the NCAA concluded it could not levy sanctions, the entire student body was offered the bogus classes. The panel's chief hearing officer, Greg Sankey, in a statement, quote, While student athletes likely benefited from the so-called paper courses offered by North Carolina, the information available in the record did not establish that the courses were solely created and offered, maintained as an orchestrated effort to benefit student athletes. Time, money, wasted by college athletics governing body again. The NCAA's fickle nature is alarming. 2 years ago, it slammed Syracuse for sanctions after a few basketball players' grades were fixed, yet UNC gets a hall pass. A few weeks ago, the FBI uncovered corruption across college basketball. Just a thought here, NCAA should hand its investigations over to the FBI to get the job done, because they can't.
So in honor of Friday the 13th, we spent some time talking to you tonight about superstitions.
Yep.
All right, let's get to those comments. Becky Sue says, I have reversed just to keep from a black cat crossing in front of me.
Oh my God.
All right, Brooke said she just locked her keys in the car and think it was because of Friday the 13th.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, and then Dorothy says, some of y'all are just looking for trouble. Like any other day, you have to watch where you walk, shaking my head.
Yeah.
True story.
Really,
where I am.
Okay, any superstitions?
None.
I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious, but I stole that. I was waiting to use that.
Until right now.
I know. I was kind of like, I walked in the door and people were talking, but I was like, oh, yeah.
I broke a mirror in the makeup room and I cleaned it up before anybody came in because I was like,
You know, that's 7 years of bad luck anyway, right?
I didn't want anybody to see
I think
it.
that's
I'm
like doubled on Friday the 13th.
But if no one sees it, did it really happen? You know,
I don't
like,
think
I'm the only one
it's
that
a
knows.
tree falling in the woods sort of situation.
Real quick, Alex, you?
Nothing, but just don't spill the salt, don't walk under the ladders, all of that. Just don't do it today, okay?
Great tips.
Seems like a good idea for any random Tuesday, though.
Oh my gosh, at least the weather's going to be good, right? All right. Have a great night.
Great night.
See you on Monday.
Oh my goodness.